Should you use a tee peg when you tee off? The answer for me is yes, absolutely. So even if you're teeing off with an iron, using a tee peg is going to give you a little bit more wiggle room with your impact and make it a little bit easier for you. But let's kind of go through how high the tee should be and why you want to use one. So let's start with the driver, the more kind of obvious club to think about when you're using a tee. So with a driver, the ball position is forward in your stance, and we move it forward in the stance so that you hit the ball on the upswing at impact, okay? So because you're hitting the ball on the upswing, the club is going to be traveling up, so the ball needs to be teed up fairly high so that as the club head is traveling up, you're still going to make contact in the center of the face. So here's a driver here, pretty standard driver. And a good rule of thumb is that you want to tee the ball so that approximately half of it is up and over the top edge of the club. Okay, so that means that there's no universal correct tee height. You just need to find the correct tee for your driver, which positions the ball up and over the top of the club so that half of the ball is exposed. Okay, so again, the way that you're going to be making contact with your driver is with the club hitting the ball on the upswing. So that means that you need the tee peg up, so the ball is up and over the head of the club so that you can still make contact from the center of the face as the club travels on the upswing, okay? So half of the ball up above the head of the club. Now the question is, how about if you're on a par 3 or even a par 4 and you're just using an iron for strategy or because you don't need to hit your driver, should you use a tee then? I would recommend that you do. The ball position for your iron is going to be in the center of your stance, and we position the ball in the center of the stance for the iron because we want to make contact with the ball when the club is at the lowest part of the swing. Okay, so as I'm swinging, then I'm going to make contact with the ball when the club is at the lowest part of the arc, which is going to be pretty much in the center of my feet. Okay, so therefore, we don't need a high tee peg. We just need a very small tee peg, probably 1/4 of an inch, 1/5 of an inch, so that if our strike isn't perfect, if we don't get the club grounding out in exactly the right place, then you're still gonna hit a good shot. Okay, and if the club does ground out in the right place, then having the ball up on a little tee probably isn't gonna do any harm. But I would recommend just using a little tee so that the ball is up just a hair, so that if the bottom of your arc is slightly early or slightly late, you're still going to make good contact. So teeing the ball up with an iron is still advantageous. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room for your impact. I hope that helps. Check out some of our other videos that might answer some of your questions about your golf swing or strategies to playing golf. Thanks.